Hello, everyone. Just want to take a couple minutes. My brother Phil, Seek Christ Only, he had told me that I had commented on Bill Donahue, not to be mistaken with the pedophile defender, Bill Donahue, for the Catholic Church League or whatever, but Bill Donahue's channel. And he told me, which I haven't watched all of Bill, so it's just Bill Donahue does say much right things. And as I'm watching, no matter what channel, I just will comment to rightness that I hear. And I had told brother, because he had pointed out that Bill says God lives in 455 area code in the universe or something. Something like that. And my findings, is that God is much bigger than, and I don't even understand fully what is theos. I only understand the things that I've learned. That as God cannot be, and Christ cannot be contained even in one book. I mean, these things are so much bigger. The depth is so much deeper, and the height is so much higher. And through my experience, when I would come to understand things, but I'd always find there was more that I needed to understand. There was a greater understanding. Some scriptures, depending on where your mind's at, what you have in it, or your understanding of other things, you will only understand a portion, and you'll think that you just had a great understanding, but then when you come to unlock another scripture would be unlocked, then you will see more to that scripture that you did not see before. It's just I'm just going to blab my mouth right now, just blabbing a little bit. I hope some of it makes sense. I've always known that when I am good and ready to speak, that is when I will speak. I've known it my whole life. I've known it since I first heard the good news. And then I went through, it was the trial of Christ. It was, I heard Christ. I received Christ. I received that word. Then the world told me that that word was not true. The world told me, no, you believe me. This is how you have to do. This is what it is. And there is so much more. You can't even, when I began my journey, and even 3 years ago when the understanding began to be given to me, I never realized how much would be given. I never realized how much more there was to understand. And every time I think I understand, there is more that needs to be understood. But I'm at the point now where I will use what I do understand. And I will confirm the things. If someone else speaks, I will confirm what they have spoken. But I've found, and it's like as the digesting, as the settling, I'm settled in myself. And it's like piece by piece, I've come together. That word that Christ has come together in me. That I, to my understanding, the things that I understand. But each of us are different, and and it is to bring in the fullness. But not one of us has all the answers. But now I can answer many things that I couldn't through these years. And one thing that really stopped me is because I did not want to offend. I didn't understand, and I did not want to say wrong, and I didn't want to offend even one of the brethren out there who had, spoke with me and confirmed and heard confirmation. I didn't. And so when I would even hear some of them speaking things that I differed, that, has been shown to me other, or I would see that they're still holding on to, they haven't allowed the Spirit to purge that carnal, something that they are holding on to. Where I'm at now, I'm not looking for the air. I'm just going to speak what I do know. And as each of us speak these things, the fullness in each of us, you know, my understanding gets strengthened and fuller in each of us. That's how, you know, it works together. Those who are not against us are on our part. You know, so I'm not, you know, I don't point out everyone because I don't have every answer. But you can't tell someone else anyway. Each of us has to learn all these things within ourselves. You know, that's like another one on Donahue had said, I'm confused about Jesus. You know, I don't even understand the fullness of Jesus, but there is, and until I do, I can't respond on some things. Because there is so much misconception, you know, that, and it is hard to break it. These things was done to keep you from ever knowing the truth. You know, and if you have these misconceptions, you can't ever see because it's blocking you. And I'm still learning of Jesus. I'm still learning of Theos. I'm still learning, you know, I have many things to learn. I'm not full. I'm not ready. But I know the word of Christ. That's what I do know. That's what I understand. I understand rightly. I understand right words. You know, there's just... Power of Christ is so much more than man has known, and so much, you know, there's some things I can't explain. Even some of my experiences I can't put into words. Even when I stopped making videos a few weeks ago, when I originally stopped, it was because of something I was going through. And it was an experience, and I still do not understand that. Something that I just had to go through. It was like the trial. You know, I've been on a trial my whole life, but this was like I was in the trial. I saw it, it was spoken, and I was right there, and it happened for like 2 weeks, and it was, you know, it was very disturbing, and I can't, you know, but I've been strengthened through it. But I don't know if anything I said just made sense. But there's many, though, you know, even brethren out there, and I think as we're speaking each other, these things are sinking in. You know, like I might say something to one who might still be holding on to something carnal, or some, you know, carnal understanding of a scripture, that they might not realize it's working in them. But as they continue to learn, that will it has been spoken, it has been taken in, you know. There's things that I've heard spoken that I didn't understand as I was going through these years. And now, you know, some that I could not agree, some, like I turned off Phil Donahue for a while. I wasn't ready. You know, some things I heard that I still couldn't accept some of the things. I had things I had to learn first. And even with Shadrach, my brother Shadrach, there was things that I didn't understand that I had not received yet. So I could not, you know, it's like I turned off others that I didn't understand certain things because I didn't want it adding to and affecting the way that I would receive. But now, after I have learned so much more understanding, now I see some of the things that I could not accept before, you know. But it's also hard because there's a whole world out there. When I realize where I'm at now, and what's brought me to where I am, and and when I realize the world, how many they have no knowledge. They are still right where I was, you know, just filled with carnal, having no right knowledge, having no right understanding of the scripture, of the word. And that's what makes it really hard, because you know, it's so hard to go back to that mind. You know, and I know how long it took for, the Spirit to purge these things. And for my whole experience, it took 40 years. And then 3 years ago when, those things began to be consumed out of me. And there's still a world full of people who are still full of it. Full of the world. But I know that my life is not mine. My life has never been mine. And there's only one desire I have in this life, and that is for something good to come from my life. That my struggle, my experience, and my journey, and my trial will not be vain. I look at, there's so many that, I'm going to say some things, and I don't understand fully some things. But there's those who wait for this rapture. There's brethren who I've heard speak some right things, and then they're waiting for a rapture. Or they're waiting. People have waited their whole life, thousands of years now, a couple of thousand years, or however long. People has waited and wasted their life, and not done today. They haven't even lived. They died without ever living. They died without ever knowing Christ, truly. They died, waiting, for these dreams, and, people waiting to die and go to heaven and live forever. You were supposed to live now. You were supposed to do these things now. You was never told to wait until your life is ended. You was given Christ in the Word that you could perform now in this world. There's just many, they hold on to these to doctrines, to carnal understanding. And I've spoken nothing in secret. I speak to them in parables. It is given to you to understand, but to them it is in parables. And the parables, that carnal mind puts a carnal understanding on these things that was never carnal. It was always spirit. What I say to you is spirit and life. The words I speak are spirit. It was always spirit. It was always symbols. And there's so much that did not come through the Greek. There is a whole, and why I can't. I hope if that's the will. How do you say it? I know what I've experienced. I know what I've heard, and I know what I've seen in the Greek. But I just take that up. That's all I've done these years is study the Greek. Read it all over in Greek, and I hear what was written. But I'm not a scholar. I can't go and put these in. All I can do is speak what I know. But perhaps if I had someone who is zealous for truth, who could sit with me and actually put these in words the right way. It's right there. All you have to do is go and look. But there's been so much that I found in the Greek that did not, that total conversations being, people take little scriptures, one little verse. There's times when that verse could be speaking of something for many years from now. That verse could be speaking of someone else. There's a whole conversation. If you haven't followed the whole conversation of what's being spoken, you have no idea what that verse is talking about. Like I said before, there's some things are hard to explain. Some things when it's time for me, all I can do is tell what I know. And but no one can give to another. We can exhort and lift up and help each other's faith. Help those who are little in faith. Because what the church has done has turned anyone away from ever knowing and seeking for themselves. Because I don't live by faith anymore. I live because I know. Faith brought me through to knowing. Once faith is when you haven't seen. But once you've seen and experienced, you're no more walking by faith. You know the thing. You know what you say is true. You know. You don't have, faith is, it's been proved. Through faith, these things are proved to you. And after it's been proven, you no longer, you know, it's not, oh goodness, I think I just, one second. Oh, I think my phone is ringing. Anyway, wait a minute. Shoot. Sorry about that. I think my daughter-in-law was out there going to take me to work. The faith, you have to have faith to receive, because it's spirit. You can't see. You have to have faith to believe. But your faith, these things are proven through your faith. But once it's been proven, these things, then there's no more. It's no more by faith that you walk. You know. You become a knower. And how many times there's some who preach against and there's like Gnostic. I'm not saying, I find truth no matter where it's written. I will bear witness of the truth in anything, whether it's in Gnostic writing, whether it's in the scriptures, whether it's in, you know, another one speaking on YouTube. But, you know, there's some speaking against Gnostic and Gnostic writing. Well, first time I ever heard any confirmation was the Gospel of Thomas. 10 years I had held these things in and was brave enough to pick up a Gospel of Thomas, which was a Gnostic, and I heard much of what I had experienced in there. You hear your life written in the scriptures and in these other writings, because it's one spirit that works through all. One spirit that inspires and gives the experience through all. And where was I at though? Where was I going? Oh, but and then there's some who likes to preach against. There's one who preaches against this certain group of people, and then if he's not preaching against this one, then it's Gnostic that he's preaching against. And the word gnosis, that word is found many times in the scripture. Where you see knowledge or knowing written in the scripture, that comes from the word gnosis. That's where we get the word Gnostic, the knowers. Those who know, those who have knowledge. It is by gnosis that the people will not die, because my people perish for lack of knowledge. So if they perish for lack of knowledge, it is gnosis that will give them life. They have to become knowing. Many speak in ignorance out there, because they are holding on to, they have not let the Spirit consume. I am still allowing the Spirit to consume these things. And it is the Word, that Word, and then the reasoning, the understanding. And there's no more, I guess I hope I made some sense. I'll get further into it. You know, it's not about what Nancy thinks or not. Each of us have to find these things on our own. But for fear, people will not look. But now I know more is looking, and when they hear us speaking, it strengthens them to find it. It gives them hope. It gives them faith and to go on and continue to find these things for themselves, because no man can give it to another. And I know my life will not be vain, because that was promised to me long ago, and I've waited my whole life. And I look for good, and I speak good, and I will. And when I hear wrong, I will bear witness of the wrong, because I've been made able to do that. I love you all. Many blessings.